Hello again. Welcome to Billy Ho's Sports. This is the highly anticipated Breeders' Cup Classic. We're gearing up for the fall season of horse racing, just days away from the big one. So much has happened this week. Some tragedy, some shaking up. So today's podcast is going to be a final analysis for the Classic. But before we get started, news and notes. Just go check out the channel. Tons of Breeders' Cup content, including individual profiles on almost all of these horses. I think I got most of the main contenders anyway. So take a look there. Also, just subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Smash that like, leave a comment. Let's get started. Okay, let's get you up to date on what's going on right now. The main one the other day, Practical Move was a contender in the $1 million dirt mile, collapsed on the track, had a cardiac event and died. That at least they haven't done the necropsy yet, but to determine the official cause, but that's what the suspected cause was. He was returning from a morning gallop when he experienced this cardiac event, according to Breeders' Cup officials. It's so sad. Tim, I know I've had my differences with Tim Yakteen as a trainer, but this was going to be a really good shot for him to get his name, inked into legendary status, so to speak. So feel bad for the guy and the connections of Practical Move. More bad news. I hate to keep bringing it. Go Rocket Ride, two-time stakes winner, underwent his surgery. Was doing pretty good there for a while, but took a turn for the worse. Had a sort of a rare response post-op and was not able to stand back up, so had to be euthanized. So the poor thing is bid bye-bye. Okay, now not so bad news, but not as bad, right? So Archangelo's out, withdrawn from the Breeders' Cup Classic, will be retired to go to stud. The winner of the Belmont, the Travers, this gray, had a warm hind foot and had a shoe, I believe, pulled on Saturday. So the staff just didn't have enough time to get him ready. He was going to be like the 7-2 second choice, but I do believe close to the favorite by post time. So anyway, another one would be Algiers. Was a contender in the dirt mile, also has been WD'd for, I believe, some sort of leg issue as well. So anyway, we are going to get into the Classic. We're going to take a look at some past performances. So let's rip it. Okay, a mile and a quarter for all the marbles. Breeders' Cup Classic, $6 million purse. And so anyway, I was going to start a little bit off the beaten path instead of going in any kind of order, but there was another tidbit of news that was worthy of speaking about earlier this week. The Japanese bred horse gathering a ton of steam this week, Ushba Tesoro, had been over here and they were taking them through the gate, giving them a little gate training. They have to get gate certified or something like that to where there's not going to be any problems. Well, he panicked when they was in the gate. Did not like the style of the gate. I guess it's a little bit different than he's used to over in Japan and whatnot. So it was rubbing him the wrong way, and he kind of flipped out and then shook it up a little bit, and then didn't want to go back in later. So they're going to use like the blanket, and then you've seen them tie arms and push the horse in forcibly. But I don't like that, because if you don't get off to a good start out of the gate in this race, you're going to be up against the wall with all the speed to the outside. So I'm not really sure where we're going to get to that. I think Ushba Tesoro is a very, very good horse and probably a contender, but it just seems like it's an underlay, in my opinion, because it's gotten too much steam as far as I'm concerned. Too many other better horses going along. So we're going to get up here, and one that I guess I don't know if it's a maligned or doesn't get the respect it deserves, but I mean, look at these numbers. He hasn't run a race since April 9th of 2022 under 100 Equibase. He's got a 110, a 104, so he's got really consistent. I mean, even Arcangelo didn't show that consistency. So Zandon is going to be in the pool. The only problem with Zandon is he's really a little bit too used to being the bridesmaid with all these second place finishes behind White Abario, Cody's Wish, Repo Rocks, Taba, back in the day, Epicenter in the Jim Dandy. And the Bluegrass was the win. He's got bookend wins on his career. He's got this Bluegrass win way back in April, and then he's got the 104 he just ran at the Woodward Grade 2. So I think he's probably like a top-notch Grade 2 horse, and then a really, really good Grade 1 horse that might be able to steal this if things work out in his favor. But I think a few horses would have to falter. But I dig Zandon because he always brings it. White Abario, obviously the big race at the Whitney. I do have a hot take on that. They're like, well, if he runs that race again, he's going to win. And I thought so too. And it may be the case. But he did beat Zandon, who, like I just talked about, perpetually second place Zandon. And he did kind of blow him out down the stretch. But it was Cody's Wish who just weakened at the distance. And then a couple others, it was like a 5-6 horse field. But the rest of that field was garbage, in my opinion. So I think, he defeated Zandon and then a Cody's Wish that couldn't get the distance. So I'm not trying to poo-poo that effort because I love White Abario. I was really high on him in the 22 Kentucky Derby, and he let me down. But he's rounded back into form, so he's still going to be amongst my favorites. Damarisota Gake would not surprise me if the Japan does the flip the script type thing, because he ran solid at the Kentucky Derby, 6 by 8 lengths, but he's been off since then. So the win's out of the question for me. I don't think he can get there, but I think maybe if there's some sort of gambling you like to do now that we got sports betting in Kentucky, is maybe take Damarisota Gake at plus odds heads up versus Ushba Tesoro. Not a bad idea. This is my winner, I think. I'm really, really starting to get towards Saudi Crown. That race at Parks, I know it was a sloppy track, but he still got out there and rolled wire to wire. He's only got 2 nose losses in his career to Forte and Fort Bragg. I mean, the horse hasn't done really anything to be wrong about. That was the first off the layoff in September, a nice little 1 1/8 in the slop. So, and I think the 1 1/4, has not been a 1 1/4. So that might be the only issue. But Brad Cox should have Saudi Crown ready. I think he's excited. I think Saudi Crown's sitting on a big one. I think Saudi Crown likes the track. I heard good things. So liking it there. Clapton, number 7, is a closer. And I think if we get the pace, like this plus 12, I know I haven't talked pace, but this is first call, second call right here. If you're looking on your racing forums, the 1C, 2C. First call is usually what I look at, and that's the opening quarter, how fast, and a half mile, basically. So a plus 12 is pretty fast. You can see 46-3 for the opening half mile, and Clapton gets there in the end, closing. So if we get this fast pace again, and it will depend on the horse we get to down the way, the Great White Wonders horse. So be on the lookout for that. So Clapton is going to be in the mix, maybe not for the win, but for exotics. And we talked about Ushba Tesoro. I've kind of lost a little bit of faith. I think that gate training, they brought him back out today, galloped him a little bit. He seems fine. I don't think there's any problem with the horse, but I think on race day, when it comes down to it, if there's any indication that horse is going to have a problem in the gate, then that's frightening, to say the least. If you need some kind of tiebreaker, I would use that. Senor Buscador is a closer, so there's nothing wrong with him getting a piece. He's got a ton of triple-digit Equibase speed figures, and I like the way this Dreamlike runs. This 108 in the Pennsylvania Derby, finishing second to Saudi Crown, was a really strong effort. 23% trainer Todd Pletcher, Jose Ortiz, Todd Pletcher might be the sneaky trainer that's going to get this, because the next horse, Bright Future, if it's for real, these 105s and 108s, I think we're going to need a 110 to win this, but I think they're close. So Bright Future seems to be on the up and come up. So been off for 2 months, so I don't know how it will blast out of the gate or anything, but it won on in before it was a thing off the layoff. So, but Arabian Nights, the one that we're probably ultimately talking about here, super good pace in the Pacific at Del Mar, running a 46, a 111, 107 speed rating, and got it by a neck over Go Rocket Ride, RIP. Held on at 1.25 miles, classic distance. I think this horse could wire the field. This is the only one in here I think that could go wire to wire, and that does worry me that Saudi Crown will be hooking up with Arabian Night. Sorry, lost my train of thought. So I don't know what to think of this. One's better than the other, but it will be. It might just be the 6 and the 10, or I mean, I'm sorry, the 6 and the 12 ultimately on top. That's where you got it. But the odds are going to lie with Saudi Crown, I think. I don't know what the odds will be race time, but I'm really hoping that Ushba Tesoro gets more steam and Saudi Crown is somewhere up close to double digits. I'll take 8 to 12 to 1 all day. Money back special bet. But I would have the 12 in some exotics. Proxy is kind of a wild card way out here because it's a speed early presser too, and it could just be sitting off the hip of the other two horses we just talked about. And Proxy is being the elder statesman here, the 5-year-old. You never know, because he really, really got after it in that jockey club to almost catch Bright Future at the wire going 1.25 miles. So we could do worse, but I'm going to leave Proxy out for now. So, like I said, the win bet will go. The win bet will go with Saudi Crown just because of the value, but I'd say Saudi Crown and Arabian Night. My brain is on fry right now, so thanks for bearing with me. And then I have the 2, 3, 6, and 12. 3, 6, and 12 are the three that I would be most interested in. I don't believe that. White Abario and obviously White Abario. I keep forgetting about. If I do forget about it, I'm going to lose money. So 3, 6, and 12 on top. Then I got Zandon in there, and then I'll throw in Clapton underneath. So Zandon and Clapton and the 3 top dogs seem to be the way to go. So hopefully you guys have some good luck this weekend and play smart. And till the next time, we'll see you soon. I hope you enjoyed the Breeders' Cup content. Tell a friend.